Hey guys, my name's Bella,
My name's Mallory.
and today we're gonna be filming my Cameron Dallas experience with the help of her. Yeah.
First,
Fuck her right now, pussy. Beginning my Cameron Dallas experience, I started off with the general admission ticket, and I thought it was gonna be like the best thing in the world, and I was so excited. Then I woke up that morning at MagCon, and I got a DM from my friend, and she goes, "Hey, I got sick. Do you want my VIP ticket?" And it was the $160 one. So you get the t-shirt and you get like the meet and greet and you actually get to like, take pictures with them. And I was freaking out because I love like all of them so much, but like especially Cameron Dallas. Like he's like I'm just like obsessed with him. Like he's my favorite person. When I got there, my friend Serena was in the front of the line, and I got there late because like I've never been to MagCon before and I didn't know like what time I should like actually get there, but my friend was in the front, so she let me in. And so then when we actually got in like the event with the room and stuff, I saw like a big picture on the screen and it was like Cameron Dallas and it said like MagCon Chicago next to it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like I'm gonna be meeting like the love of my life in like less than like 20 minutes. Like I was freaking out. I got to the taking pictures with them and like meeting them all and just like talking with them for like a short second and then going for like the next one. I met all of them, and the last one to meet was Cameron, and he cut his foot, so he was sitting in a chair, and I felt so bad because he looked so cute and like. When I saw him after I met Matt Espinoza, I saw him and I was waiting in the line to meet him, and I was just crying, and I like promised myself that morning, I was like, oh my god, like when I meet him, please don't cry. I was like, don't cry, don't do it. And so when I got there, I started crying and I was like, oh my gosh, like, and I met him and I just like, I walked up to him and I remember like I walked to him and I hugged him and I was like crying on his shoulder and he kept calling me beautiful. And then he goes, well, do you want to take the picture now? And I just kept crying and he was like, do you want to take the picture now? And then I kept crying, like as my stupid self kept crying, and then he lifts up my chin like this and he was like, do you want to take the picture now? And I was like, sure, like okay. I was freaking out. I put the pictures in of when I met him at the end of the video. When he lifted my chin up, he asked the woman if he could kiss me like on the cheek, and like the bodyguard was like, no, and I was like so devastated. I was like, oh no. I was like, okay, it's whatever. So then we took pictures, and we took a smiling one, and then we took one crying, and then definitely leaving him was the worst like moment of my life. Like just leaving him, that was so like heartbreaking. Like just looking at his face like while I walked away, it was so hard. I stayed over at the hotel, and they were on the 11th floor, so like we couldn't get to go to the 11th floor because their whole like floor was like blocked off. But I was on the 12th floor, so me and Mallory, we'd always yell down like to their names, and they'd always like say hi and stuff. And then I like called him and I was like, Cameron, and he looked up. I was like, do you remember me? And he like kept going, and then he looked up at me and he goes, yeah, I do. And I was like, oh my god, he remembered my name, like he remembers me, like oh my god.
okay, and then, so when he was on the floor, he was like, there was like this rope that they were like tugging. It was really weird. And so, I don't know, I was like, here, you can have my beanie. And I threw it down there and he caught it, and then, yeah.
Next day, on Sunday, when you had VIP, you automatically get general admission the next day.
Wait, I just need to say something. Okay, general admission was really, really, like,
Disgusting.
it was kind of like pointless, like, because basically it was like fun to like see all the guys like having fun and dancing and singing and stuff, but it like the part that sucked the most was like watching like all these girls go up to like your
For
idols
VIP.
and just like kiss them on the cheek and like take adorable pictures, and then us general admission sitting on the ground like bored out of our mind. But it was fun.
We had general admission, and so we had to wait behind the gate, and we were in the back because all the VIP got to like go in the front. So we squeezed like our way into like the front. We just like stood there, and Cameron Dallas, I saw him with Swedish Fish in his hand, and he walked away, and he walked like in front of me, and I remember because I bought him Swedish Fish, and I was like, oh my god, I need to give it to him. So I kind of like threw him at him, and then like
security guards come over.
And they almost kicked me out of the
they're
whole
like
building.
Screaming at her. And then I was like sitting there and I was like, Bella, you're a fart knocker.
Literally like 3 hours just sitting on the ground watching like all
Watching
the
Nash. And I was just like,
watching like all of them like meet all these girls, and I was just sitting there and oh my god, I was devastated. So I was about to leave, and so I left and I walked back and I looked, and my friend Ari got called on stage because she was dancing like from Mahogany to call her up on stage. So she got called up on stage, and I was like, oh
best luck
my
ever.
god.
Best
And
luck
she's like in love with Jack Linsky, so I was like so happy for her because like she got up on stage and like he hugged her, and like they looked so adorable together. I like came back because I wanted to watch her on stage, so I went where like there was like this big like the barricades, and Cameron was right there,
Like,
Madison
yeah.
Rosa Carter, then it was Jack J,
Jack,
and then
Nash.
they like yeah, they all went
Hazen,
by. So
Taylor.
Cameron was over there, so I walked over to the barricade and I like squeezed myself to the front just to, like watch him like for like the last like hour I was there, because like I told myself before, I was like, I'm not leaving here without at least hugging Cameron. Like I need to like at least hug. Called on stage and I was like, Ari, please tell Cameron that I love him. Like please tell him that like I like wouldn't leave here without hugging him. Just like please tell him how much I love him and explain to him. And she was like, okay, I'll do it. So I was sitting there, and then Cameron looked over and she told him like he loved me, and
then he
I
like
loved
kind
him.
of looked around. Bella, when he
know.
like looked around, he like saw her, and then he saw you going like,
And I was crying.
and then he was crying, and then he's like, come here, and then she thought he was waving.
And
So
I was
she's
like, oh
"Hi."
hi. And he was like, no,
come here. He's like, bring her up here, and I was
I
like,
walked around the gates and I was just gonna go like meet him, and I was like, oh my god, I was shaking. I had like a seizure, like I was shaking. I tried to walk over there. The bodyguard, like the big bodyguard, like stopped me and he goes, what are you doing? And I was like, well, Cameron wanted me to come over there. And Cameron was like, it's okay, she can come over here. And he goes, no, go back. He's like, you're gonna get kicked out of this place. He's like, go back, you're not allowed to do this. He's like, bye, go, like leave. And like he
Bye, go,
bye,
leave.
bye. And then like he like made my friend Ari come back, and he was like, no. And she like didn't even get to meet Cameron. Like she just told him that like I loved him, and like she got like kicked out, and I was like, what the heck? Like, and Cameron, like I was crying, and like she was like comforting me, and like
yeah, because she was like, I'm gonna freak out. I'm like, Bella, you're meeting him. You are going to meet him in like 20 minutes. Like, you are fine. Just
I walked over there when I met him, and I could not stop saying thank you, because like I love him so much, and like oh my gosh, like he doesn't know how much I love him. Like I could not stop saying thank you, and I couldn't stop saying like I love you and like stuff like that. And so he was like, it's okay. He's like no problem. And then he was like, and I was like crying, and I remember like he put like his like forehead like on mine, like he like held me like right here, and it was so cute. And then he was like, well, do you want to sit on my lap? And I was like yeah, sure. And then he literally like takes me like by the hips, and he like picks me up and like puts me on his lap. And I was like, oh my god, Cameron Dallas just like grabbed me and like put me on his lap. Like what the fuck? Then after we took like the smiling pictures, he goes, are you ready for this last picture? And I was like, yeah. And then he turns over and he kisses me on the freaking cheek, and the phone died. Her phone died. And I was like, oh my god. Like I was like, I looked at him and I was like, and he's like, it's okay, beautiful, it's okay. And like he kept telling me he loved me, and like as my stupid self, I was like a stunned like puppy. Like I was just sitting there, and I was like, and he was like, I love you. And I was like, and then he said it like the third time, he like grabbed my hands and he was like, I love you. And I was like, I love you too. And like I walked away and I was crying, and she was like just standing there like
third wheel.
she was crying for me. Everyone was crying for me.
Yeah, all of the girls were crying.
After this video, you probably know like I love Cameron so much, and he means so much to me. And if you have time, my Twitter is at Bella Thompson with 2 N's at the end, and there's this link, and it's trying to get Cameron to notice me. So if you could click the link and retweet it, that'd be really good. Cameron, if you could see this, it would probably mean the world to me and make my life, and I'd never ever find a reason to be sad again. I love you. I'm Miss Dallas, and this is Miss Greer again.
I'm just pissed off because I don't have a Nash fear experience.
Pissed off because I don't have a Nash fear experience.
So I'm just not going to talk about it.
Bye.